The Craft Council Gallery is proud to present Hidden Visage, photography essay by Reid.
Hi, my name is Reid and I'm the photographer behind Hidden Visage, a photo essay that explores the expressive nature of face masks. The concept for Hidden Visage started very early on during the pandemic, when we were locked down, unable to go out, only encouraged to leave the home if we had to get groceries or other necessities. As a portrait photographer, this was extremely isolating for me. I was unable to shoot any models, and for several months I barely took any photos. If you were an animal photographer or landscape, it was great. You could jump in a car and there was hardly anyone around to mess up your shots. But for myself, it was a very trying time. In talking with other artists, I discovered that many people felt the same way as I did. So I approached 7 such artists and asked if they'd like to collaborate on a project with me. This project being the creation of a face mask similar to the ones we were seeing nearly daily now. While the ones that we would see would be plain, simple medical masks, I wanted to challenge them to create their own. The only stipulations I gave them was that the mask had to cover the mouth and the nose, and the eyes had to be revealed. And the results that I got back were absolutely amazing. There were scary ones, beautiful ones, and everything in between. Each artist brought their own personality and their creativity to their masks, and when I shot them, I tried to take that into account. But with the pandemic restrictions, I was unable to shoot in a studio, so I had to get a little creative myself. I shot on the side of a building with a backdrop, using nothing but natural light. And this really opened my eyes to the way photography was done in the past when we didn't necessarily have electricity and strobes and things like that at our fingertips. I felt this was a very true nature to what was going on. Rather than try and bring things outside, I wanted to keep it simple and also to keep it safe for my models. I want to say a big thank you to the mask artists, the models, the reflector holders, drivers, advice givers, and most of all my parents who always supported me through my creative endeavors. I'd like to thank Bruno and the Craft Council Gallery for giving me this opportunity, and I hope you all enjoy.
Hi, my name is Anna Murphy, and I created the piece Hold On for this show. The premise of the piece is twofold. The first being I used the stitch work in the piece as meditative stitching to help with relaxation and stress during isolation. I spent a lot of time alone during isolation during the first period, and ultimately the idea of holding on and just waiting for the next period seemed really appropriate for this piece and for my experience with it. This is something that we've never experienced before, and hopefully never will again in my lifetime. But ultimately, hold on is sort of a mantra for myself that I would recite every single day, but also I think just a general theme that people are just trying to keep going and do the best they can. And that is definitely the inspiration for this piece. Also, I wanted to create some drapery so that it was a little bit of a different type of mask and sort of like it was just falling off, because I think sort of a level of confusion and not really knowing what you're doing is pretty much how I have been making my way through this difficult time. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be in the show.
Hi there, I'm Jess McDonald. I'm one of the artists participating in Reid's photo essays for Hidden Visage. And this was a really wonderful opportunity, as Jared had mentioned before, bringing together people in a time of separation and confinement. And so I'm just going to give you a little blurb about my work. So when Jared first reached out and said, you guys can do anything, just make sure to keep the eyes, don't cover up the eyes. I kept thinking, but what about the mouth? And right now we're in a time where with COVID, the mask itself is such a form of control in my mind. That's how I thought of it, and how it's really closing off. It's really covering off our mouth, our voice. And with a lot of the movements that are going on in the world, I felt as though I really wanted to speak to really defying the confinement of the mask and the intent of the mask being a form of closure, maybe even suppression, silence, control, those things. So that's where I really went with this piece. And the hands played a huge part in that. They portrayed control and suppression and the idea of kind of covering up, which is what the mask does. Which is, I think, important to talk about. But what I loved really a lot about, the textiles and the photography coming together was that I created this piece and I had a vision. But with Jared's photography, you really get the emotion, that powerful moment through, our model's eyes and the work, and just it was just stunning. And in the end, it was really important to have the model's lips come through the sheer fabric, which is why I chose it, because I want the idea of defying this mask and its intent. And so it was really empowering actually to see her come through the mask and kind of like coming through that control or whatever it is. And I really it was a great time with this piece, and I'm very honored that Jared reached out, and I look forward to seeing the show, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.